Hi guys, I'm Antoinette and welcome to another episode of Shame Success. What if the problem isn't that you don't know what to do, but that we have lost connection with ourselves and we no longer trust ourselves? In this conversation today, I'm speaking to hypnotherapist, meditation teacher and intuitive guide Moira Hutchison, and we are exploring why so many of us second guess ourselves, don't trust ourselves, don't trust our inner knowing, and stay in situations way longer than we should, and far beyond the point when we know that it no longer feels right for us. Let's get into it. Hello, Moira.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure. I'm honored to be here with you.
Fantastic. So I guess before we delve into the core topic, which is self-trust, intuition, listening to yourself, and that inner compass, tell me about you, because we just had a brief conversation before I clicked record, and you've got your own interesting backstory and interesting backstory of how you came to this work as well, isn't it?
Yeah, there's lots of layers to where I am, and it's a ever continuing evolution. But yes, like you said, what we were just talking about is that I was born in Canada, but I grew up in Scotland, and I returned to Canada because I feel more me here, which is actually right there is a perfect tip to get in touch with your intuition. And it's one of my favorite questions that I encourage all of my students and clients to use is to pause when you're making a choice or a decision or deciding to go in a certain direction, is to just pause for a wee moment. I'm a very big believer in just putting your hands on your heart and see, how do I feel about myself here? And just allow that wisdom to bubble up. How do I feel about myself here? And what I'm talking about is here being with these thoughts, with these people, with these options, with these opportunities, with this direction, with this location, those types of things. We're not conditioned to do that, generally speaking.
Absolutely not, definitely. And so many of us are definitely out of touch with it, which is why we need to have a conversation around it. So before we dig in, tell me, who is coming to you then, and at what point do clients kind of typically work with you? What is their situation at that point?
So there are multiple reasons why people come and get attracted to working with somebody like me. I offer a plethora of different approaches. I'm a hypnotherapist, a meditation teacher. I do tarot card readings. I use numerology. I use my own intuition. So what I find is that there are different avenues people will be attracted to work with me. They maybe are navigating a big change and not sure what to do. Like maybe it came through in a time where they think, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the right choice is. Because I think in essence, the work that I do, I help people wake up to who they truly are. And like I say, I'm using things like tarot and numerology and human design, success codex, and blending it together to help people see it's not getting a prescription, but it's getting a permission slip. Because we have these patterns running us. They're kind of running the show. And I think we talked about this a wee bit before we started recording this conversation, is that we're not conditioned to just feel into what is the right way? What's my flavor? Now, sometimes when we get woken up to what our flavor is or what our gifts are or what our calling is, that can create disruption in our nervous system. So that's when it's so important and this is where trust is such an important piece too, because if your nervous system's all jangling and it's all hypervigilant and oh my gosh, there's this chaotic and I don't know which way to go, it's so hard to cleanse the the lenses so that you can see clearly and feel clearly. So that's the I think that's the component of what I'm doing is I'm helping people get in touch with their inner compass, because we all have one. So many people come to me and they say, "Oh, Moira is really intuitive, so I'm going to ask Moira to intuitively guide me." My intuition's going to intuitively guide you to wake up to yours, because it is the truth. And particularly those who say, "Oh, it just doesn't work for me," is because you've been stuck in your head too much. We are, as a collective, we are conditioned to be in our head, to be logical, to be rational, to push, to just keep going. That's not actually the truth. We have to get into our own rhythm. And I always do this. It's about balance. You see, the masculine aspect, regardless if you're male or female, we all have masculine aspect and feminine aspects. The masculine aspect is the logical, rational, keep pushing, keep going, keep running, keep doing. That's all masculine. And let's face it, as a collective society, we have been conditioned that way, that's how you get success. That's how you get ahead. That's how you run your business. That's how you attract your clients. But it's not entirely true. It's the thing about it is, and so the feminine aspect, that's where the emotions are and the intuition and the spiritual connection and the heart-led pieces that we all need. Now, it's not good enough to just get in touch with it and then kind of go, "Oh yeah, later." And that's why I do this with my hand. It's like, no, they both have to run the show. And so if you have a propensity to be too much in your head and too much listening to the inner dialogue, then we need to start calming your nervous system and coming into, I'm not going to make a decision or a choice until I've just focused on my breath, come into my heart space, allowed my, "Oh, that feels good," or "Oh, let's go that way." And so there's the thing too that's so important, is that trust says, I can't see the answer. I can't see the right door or option. But I know if I get up out of my chair and start making one tiny baby step, that it will start to evolve and make sense as I move in my right rhythm. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And there's so much that you've said that we definitely need to unpack. What's probably really valuable, actually, before we go further in, is for people to understand that your background, it's not like you were born doing this. Because although
Right.
from what you've said, it sounds like you've got it all together, Moira. It's all right for you because you're in sync, you've got your intuition, you can trust your inner guidance, and that's just clearly how you are. But actually, you were in the corporate space and you were not doing this before, isn't it? You kind of transitioned into this.
I did transition into this. And when I look at my own evolution,
Mm,
as a child, I was this.
right.
As a child, if I wanted to make a decision or get some soothing or some clarity, I would go and talk to trees.
Yes.
I'd go and just sit and listen to the voice of the universe or God, or I was brought up like that.
Mm.
My actual upbringing was, I was brought up as a Quaker, and are really encouraged to go quiet and listen, like deeply listen. So that's something I'm deeply grateful for. But of course, then you get into the world, or the real world, and it is, you have to push and hustle, and one of my patterns was people pleasing. I think there's a lot of that, especially for us women. We put other people's needs and demands and wishes and requests way above our own. And we're not conditioned to say, "Wait a minute, if I am going to be of service, I need to put me at the top of that priority list." And so that's how come I believe that trust starts to wobble, because this is, I think of our 4 pillars of who we are. The 4 pillars are our physical, our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual. And back to what I was just saying about the masculine and feminine, the physical and the mental are our masculine aspects. The emotional and the spiritual are our feminine aspects. So when we favor 2 or more of those pillars and ignore the other 2, I like to think of it as a table. If all 4 of those are legs of a table, we want a flat, level, stable table. And so I know how wobbly things got, because in my corporate work, in my corporate path, I burnt out. I've had 3 burnouts in the corporate world because of the people pleasing and the just keep going, just you're looking after all these other people and doing the things, and this is how you survive and how you look after yourself and how to put bread on the table and pay the bills. And this is where trust gets broken, because, and this is something else that a lot of people are drawn to work with somebody like me, is because maybe chronic pain has started to really show up, or anxiety keeps running the show, or depression, or just feeling in such a funk. Sometimes, how I said we all have intuition? We are all intuitive by nature. But the other part too is we all, as souls, we came into this life for a reason. We have a purpose, we have a gift, we have something to offer. And so if you go too long down you have to do it this way, or you should do it that way, or it should be working out this way, there's almost like you disconnect from that inner, psst, you're here for this, or just be, or just trust. And so there are so many pieces in this type of thing, is that if you have a propensity to second guess yourself, stop, pause. And the thing about getting in touch with your intuitive wisdom, it takes time, and it's actually like a muscle. It takes commitment and dedication and time, and just keep coming back. And so one of the beautiful ways to start with really small things, like orange or apple. What does my body want? Orange or apple? And start, or you could even start doing follow the impulse to, if you're out driving and you think, oh, I need to drive that way. Follow it. Because sometimes what will happen, and it will start to happen, is that when you get that impulse to, like I said with the driving, you get the impulse to say, oh, I just got the impulse to take this route instead. Then afterwards, you may find that there was a big traffic jam on the other route that you would have normally taken. So when you start getting validation, that's what I mean about strengthening the intuition. Because the more times that you allow yourself to drop into that, then it becomes like, oh, that needs to be my first port of call before I make a choice. And here's the other part about trust that's so important too, is that the more you find how you are wired, because I say we're all intuitive, but we all have our own way of receiving that guidance. For some people, they might hear little dialogues or voices within their head. They might have a sensation in their heart space or in their stomach, might get a little lift, or you might just know something, or somebody might tell you something and you go, oh, there, that was my answer. Yeah. So it's when you know how you receive, then you train yourself more. And then, like I said, in this little scenario that I'm trying to paint, is that if you then know that you need to make a choice or a decision, and there is no discernible, that's the answer or that's the way, it's okay. The propensity we do then is to jump into our head and say, oh, I'll just do it then, this. But had you waited and said, I trust, And just because the answer's not shown up right now, then I can do what I can, which is right in front of me. Does that make sense?
It does. So you're saying rather than jumping to what you assume is the logical thing to do because you want to
Yes.
just do something, is
Yeah.
actually just having the space. I hear a lot of space in this. It's actually
Yes.
giving that space. It seems like a kind of a theme.
Yep. Yeah, it absolutely is, because that's the thing about what we've all been conditioned is the doing and doing and doing and doing. We need to flip that on its head, because you have to be first.
Yes.
In order to do those things, you must just be. And that's the feminine aspect of just be here. Because we have all these different dialogues in our mind, right?
So true.
And so sometimes when we're just saying, I don't have a specific yes to go that way, so I'm just going to write or journal or go for a walk or breathe or meditate, pull a card. There can be a little dialogue that comes up and say, you're being lazy, you're dropping the ball. Like, what would people say if they knew you were just doing this instead of getting up and getting things done and being that performer? It's about finding our rhythm. And because the other part around finding our rhythm is we're all wired differently. And this is why I love using human design in the work that I do with clients, because human design helps us see how much being in slow time you need and how much energy do you already have. Not all of us are wired to keep going like the Energizer Bunny. Some are. But once you know that, then you can embody that and actually just show up as you really are. That's what intuition allows us to do.
So what are kind of people afraid of? Because I imagine as you're working with people that underneath underneath kind of the being in the mind, there are fears that are there. There's something that's stopping us from actually doing the thing. Because I think ultimately, for a lot of us, there might be something that we are called to do, that whisper, as you kind of explained it, or we just
Yeah.
have a feeling that something's not right, or whether it's in our relationship or in our career or anything, but we just ignore that for such a long time. So firstly, why are we ignoring that? And then from your perspective, what is the way to, I guess, overcome that ignorance of that thing, and what is it costing us ultimately?
That's the whole point, is to get in touch with the pain, because that's
Right.
it's costing us some form of pain. Like you said, it can be in health issues or relationship issues, or just feeling discombobulated with the world. Like, I'm here for something, but I don't know what it is. So the key piece here that I think that creates that is it's that survival mechanic within us. The fear says, if I don't keep hustling and running and pushing and producing and receiving, then I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna wobble and fall apart. And at a really deep subconscious level, it's fear of death. If I screw this up, I'm going to be thrown out of the tribe and I can't survive. And so if that's what's running the show, which is kind of what it's doing, if we just keep running because we have this fear, why it's so difficult to get more into the emotional landscape and the intuitive wisdom is it's not tangible, right? If I say to you, Antoinette, I just don't feel like showing up for that meeting. I don't feel like it. Well, you might think, gosh, what's up with that? Like, that's just, you're dropping the ball. You're being a failure. It's really hard to say, I'm feeling that it's not aligned with my energy right now. We start getting into the inner critic, and that's when we start second guessing. How many times have you gone and done something where your initial response internally was, that's not the right choice?
Oh yes.
And then you go, nonsense. I can't tell you why it's not the right choice, so therefore I'm going to just go and do it. And then it falls apart.
Mm.
I know it's happened multiple times for me.
Definitely.
And my clients also. And you know, the other thing, this comes up often when I'm doing tarot card readings. I've said that before. When I'm doing intuitive readings or tarot card readings, if I say something to you that doesn't resonate, doesn't vibe with you at all, then it's about me, it's not about you.
Yeah.
Because everything that comes up, so many times this happens, people go, oh, I knew that already. I knew that already. I didn't want to admit that to myself.
Right. So we know.
We do know.
Mm.
We just haven't given ourselves permission to soften and say, gosh, see, I didn't allow myself to give words to that.
Mm.
But in my gut, I knew I was in the wrong environment or in the wrong job or in the wrong relationship. I knew it.
And I guess it's quite scary ultimately, because if do you have you experienced that people shut down their intuition or that inner voice or inner knowing because ultimately we don't like what it's telling us? It might be telling us something that's really scary, because what
Yeah.
it's telling you, you're thinking, I can't just get out of this relationship, or
Yeah.
I've been working here for 10 years or something. What do you mean it's time to leave this place? How do you actually reconcile something that's significant, even though you're feeling it and it's uncomfortable, and you're feeling uncomfortable, and you might not be happy? How do you kind of
Mhm.
move from that position to actually taking those actions?
Baby steps.
Mm.
And you start to rewrite your story. So let's take the job for an example. So you've been ruminating and being stagnant and telling yourself, this sucks. I hate being here. I don't like this job. My boss is always yelling at me. I feel so tired. And yet you intuitively know that there's some big calling for you, that you maybe go and set up your own business or start coaching or start doing tarot card readings. um, Rewriting the story is start speaking your truth where you are. Because if intuitively you know that there is some grand spiritual message that you have to share, start owning it. Start saying, yes, it's here. It's not something that I have to keep working towards and waiting. It's here. And so once you start saying it's here, then this sucky job is a step in the direction of that.
Yes.
Right? And it's so then you can maybe, I've had many clients do things like this, like they've maybe been in a corporate job working for the government, and it's paying the bills, it's putting the kids through school, it's great. But then when you have a calling, I have a client that actually has become extremely successful with her business, but she was doing it in the evenings and in the mornings before she went to work, because the job, was part of her story. And so I think that can, it's understanding your power as a creator,
Mm.
that if you keep saying, oh, I'll be happy when I get out of this, you have to stop that, because that's going to inform and strengthen that second guessing, that fear, that wobble, because it's saying, I have to put up with this. Kind of like saying, I have to put up with being in prison, and at some point I will get free.
Yeah.
No, you got to claim it right now, because where you are is where you are. And that's then owning, I chose this. Yeah.
Mm.
Because what it's doing is it's allowing you to say, oh, yes, I am the author of this.
Mm.
I think, and I've used that before often, is that I think it's so important to reclaim authorship of your life. None of us are stuck unless we say so.
We have to
And
really
sometimes
let that land, don't we? To be honest.
yeah. And sometimes there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with this, because sometimes we need to stay in those sticky situations that we don't really like or we don't prefer. And sometimes the gift is we stay in them long enough to go, oh, wait, I don't have to be here. I'm choosing to be here. And so I can then say, I'm choosing to step away or step down a different path, or just looking at something with a filter of gratitude. Everything's for you. There's nothing against you unless you say so.
How does this rewriting of the story look, and how does reclamation look in practice?
It's a beautiful question. I think one of the pieces that is so important is to come into a space of gratitude, saying thank you to you. Because if you become aware of a pattern or a propensity or a way of what you've done, sometimes people get into a guilt and shame, and I should have done something better. I should have done something or spoke up for myself. No, you did the best you could with what you knew. Stay present and say thank you to everything you've done. Thank you to every experience and chapter and phase, because it's got you here. You see, when we say thank you, it stops the cyclone in our head. When we just say thank you, I acknowledge it, I get it. Because the other part I think is an important piece is that sometimes we can get into beating ourselves up of, we look at a choice we made, say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and oh gosh, I screwed that up. I should have done something different. I made a mistake. I went through the wrong door. No, that version of you did right. So that's why you say thank you to that version of you. Now I have this wisdom, and if I had my druthers, I'd do it all over again differently. But we're here. And so that's what I'm talking about rewriting the story, is just getting very natural. Oh, this is how I roll. I'm the type of person that uses these words. I use words of love and compassion and kindness to myself, about myself. And sometimes we need to go through a process of just really watching the words that come out of our mouths. A lot of people don't realize that when I say we're powerful creator beings, it's the words that create our reality. So if I get up every morning and say, oh, this sucks, another day, look at my schedule, oh, this is horrible, I just created that. Whereas I can go into the same environment, the same schedule, and go, what a glorious day. Look what I get to do. I choose this. See, right there, you've actually allowed yourself to step into your own emotional guidance. And then when I say watch your dialogue, because we actually all have an inner critic, every one of us. Doesn't matter how much work you do on yourselves, the inner critic is always there. Can you make friends with it? Thank you, inner critic. I know you see, the inner critic is trying to keep us safe, trying to make us look good in the eyes of others, trying to keep us on track. That's kind of the program. So you say thank you, but I don't need that right now, because right now we're heading this way.
A lot of what you're saying is about accepting. It's accept it. Don't resist it.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who said, well, Moira, how can I trust myself if every decision I've made has led me here, and here isn't such a great place? How do I then go forwards from here and trust myself?
I love that question, and it often comes up for sure. I also love the fact that you picked up on that thing about acceptance. I'm currently creating my own modality based on a lot of the approaches that I'm talking about. And I call it the letting go pathway. And it's actually the second step, is acceptance. Because the truth that I believe is we cannot change anything until we accept what is, where we are, who we are. We must accept. Now, when I have that conversation, that dialogue will come in, like you just said. But I suck at making decisions. I've made so many wrong ones. I've taken, I seem to attract the wrong relationship, or I seem to get into the wrong environment, job. And so then when I say, well, you have to accept that you did what you did, that creates a lot of resistance in many, many people, because we have this belief that if we accept something, it means it's okay and we're keeping it. But what I'm presenting is you cannot change it, because it's going to keep sticking to you. It's going to keep saying, hey, but at some level you created this. So if you just say it is what it is, here's where I am. This is going back to the idea of the addiction part that we talked a moment ago too, is I accept, I choose this. Oh, I can now, if I accept that, I can make another choice. But see, the other part here in this is we can make changes by sheer willpower. We can. We all can. But back to what we were talking about, the masculine, feminine, sheer willpower is force. It's gotta keep on that straight and narrow, gotta keep pushing. You're gonna fall off. We all do. If we only make change based on force, at some point something's going to catch up or break or fall apart, because we haven't gone into the whole being. We haven't just accepted, hey, you know what? I actually was doing the best I could with the environment, with the choices, with the opportunities. Because that is the truth. When we look back on our timeline and start doing the, beating ourselves up, or woulda, coulda, shoulda, it's actually a form of self-betrayal. Because that version of you, maybe 5-10 years ago, even yesterday, is not the wise one that's right here. And so that's why I keep coming back into gratitude and acceptance and just inner peace. That allows you to access all of the attributes and gifts and talents that each one of us has.
I love that.
Yeah. And there are multiple layers and techniques and technologies that can help us with that acceptance. Even if it's simply hand on your heart and deep breath and say, I don't like this, but I accept it's here. This is not my preference, but it's here. And because this is the other part too, and this is coming back into trust, is trusting if I'm here, it's because it's for me. It's part of my evolution. It's part of my trajectory at a soul level, which is going right back into the intuition. Intuition it's not something tangible that you can say, there it is. That's the reason. It's more feeling based. It's more trust. I don't know about this next step, but I know it will meet my foot if I lift my foot and head in that direction.
And what about second guessing and that kind of second guessing ourselves? Why do you think that so many women, even if they may seem fine on the surface, they seem like they've got it together, but actually internally, it's kind of all that second guessing your decisions and questioning and just never feeling sure? Because it sounds like this is almost the antidote to it to a point. If you can get to the place that you're helping people to get to, that hopefully will stop. But why are we in that place where we're questioning like small decisions even? I think for some of us, if you're particularly stressed or whatever, depending on what's happening, it can become a spiral in your mind. It can be you're questioning every little decision, every little thing. You just don't trust yourself.
It's how we're conditioned. It's about survival. Because it's that you know about the amygdala response. The amygdala response is that's where the fight or flight. It's actually 4 F's: fight, flight, freeze, or freak out. Sometimes all of them. But so there's an inner wiring in us that creates that wobble. That, gosh, what if I sit here and just breathe on it because I don't feel like that's the right choice? What if it's wrong? What if it's wrong and I get ridiculed, or I get cast out, or I get told off, or everybody leaves me, or I lose all my money, or I lose my job? What if? And that fear will freeze us. You know, I remember once listening to a talk. It might have even been Deepak Chopra. I can't remember who it was that talking about it, but it was talking about that amygdala response that keeps saying, I'm running out of time, running out of time, running out of time. I have to keep going, have to keep going. We got all the time in the world. And so it's just something, sometimes it's simple as that, is, oh, that push, or the why are you saying I want to go left and everybody else is going right? Who am I to stand out and walk that way?
I love it. It's so true,
Remember
though.
it.
Everything you're saying is it's so true. I know that, for some of us, if we're not kind of used to thinking in terms of intuition and these things, it might seem, because we are disconnected, and that's because of how, as you say, we've been conditioned. But really quick story for me, I went for a walk in the woods. I love walking in the woods and in the forest. But
Yeah,
I went deep in, and then I didn't have any signal. I was like, oh my goodness. And I didn't freak out, but I did get a little bit of, how do I get back to the car park? I was like, I don't know where I am. And there's just trees everywhere. And I thought, okay, Antoinette, use the thing that you know. And at this point, I'm very much trying to connect with my own intuition, which is why I was so excited to talk to you. I was like, listen to it, listen to your guidance system. It's there. They are there. Just listen. Okay. So, and the thing is, because I was put into a position where I was forced, this is the thing. I was forced because it was like, I'm here on my own. My phone's not working. I'm in the middle of nowhere. What am I actually going to do? It's this or nothing. So I just walked, and it was like, go left. And at one point, and I would not forget this, I literally came back and I was telling everybody, it said go left, and left was like, that looks like some horrible, scary pathway leading to goodness knows where. And right was a proper path. So I was like, that looks like the way. It looks like the path. But I thought, no, I'm going to take the scary one because this is what I'm doing. Long story short, it got me back. It got me back. And it was, I love that story. So anyone who's thinking, I'm scared and it doesn't make any sense, and why should I do it? That story, as small as it is, because it was only a walk in the forest, honestly, for me, that was a huge turning point. Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Good for you.
Yeah. And it doesn't always make sense, does it? That was my takeaway, was that, honestly, that the path that it was saying, it was like, it wasn't even a path. It was like a ditch. It looked like it's not even a route. But so we do have to trust.
That's actually, that makes me think of a technique that I often get people to come into, is to think of a memory like you can actually really anchor that in as to the feeling that you got. You followed it. There was probably a lift in you, like an excitement, a smile on your face, a lightness in your heart, because it was right.
Yeah.
That's a yes. That is your own inner wisdom saying yes. Whereas other times, and there's techniques that I help people really feel into what this feels like for them. When you think of a time where you made the wrong choice, and just check in with your body. How does that feel? For myself, I feel like a heaviness in my stomach. I feel like there's a weight on my shoulders. So just those two pieces can actually help me access my yeses and nos really quickly. So if you're lost in the woods and you look at a path and you can feel that little jolt, that's your inner compass just came on. Whereas if you're looking at another path and you feel that heaviness, that's your inner compass just came on. So you kind of trust, you start to, the more you play with that one, the stronger it becomes too.
Oh, definitely.
It's a beautiful way to tap into intuition too.
I love it. If you're thinking, I do want to start to listen to myself a little bit more, and I do want to start to be able to do that rather than being all in the head and not knowing what to do, what can we do then?
You'll see me do this a lot.
Mm.
Just as simple as putting your hand on your heart. Or you could even tap around your collarbone area. This is the thing is that as soon as we do something tactile, some of my clients like the rubbing their fingers together.
Okay.
That when they know that they're worried about something or scared about something, the truth is, and this is what mindfulness teaches us, our power is here. Our power is not in past decisions. Our power is not in future decisions. It's here. And so that's one of the most important pieces, because your intuition also is right here. And so that's the thing about intuition. Let's say you're in an environment and there's some aggravation going on in another room, or there's people accusing other people or being angry, and your intuition says, get out of here, leave. You have to follow that, because you might get that, but it doesn't mean this space. It means you picked up on what's happening right here, right now. There's a disturbance in the force. Then the next time you go into that exact same environment, different people around, different things happening, and you think, oh, isn't this weird? Last time I was here, I felt really nervous and I felt like I had to run out of here. There's where trust really comes in, is to really recognize, you don't have to justify it or explain it. Do you know the conditioning that I actually think happens for us is, as children, I mentioned that in my childhood years, I really was tapped into that intuitive wisdom. So the scenario that I like to describe is, let's say, little 2-year-old child, little 2-year-old you, come down the hallway and mom and dad have just been having a fight. And you didn't hear them, but you walk in and you know something's wonky. And as a child, you might say, what's wrong? Mommy, what's wrong? And mommy and daddy don't want you to know about the fight. So they say nothing. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. Two things happen right there. One is the child thinks, oh, I must have been imagining things. Must have made it up. That's one possibility. The other possibility is, I did something wrong and they don't want to tell me.
Oh, that's true.
So right there, you have two fundamental pieces that start making us stuff down what we felt. Do you see what I'm saying? And then as we grow older, there's more and more things happen like that. I was like, yeah, see, there's no point in me dropping into what do I feel. Remember, I said back at the beginning of our conversation, how do I feel about myself here? That one is one of the most powerful tips that I can share with you and your audience. How do I feel about myself here? I feel a bit nervous. I feel a bit wonky. I feel weighted down. Or I feel excited. I feel uplifted. I feel joy-filled. Those are our guidance system. We have to just take a pause. This is actually coming into a sense of self-worth also. Self-worth says, I am worthy of just pausing for a moment, not jumping into the propensity to people please or always be on or make the decision right away. If it's not right for me, I can have the amount of self-worth that says, I'll get back to you. I'll come back to you on that. Right?
So true.
Mm-hmm.
So true. It's such a nightmare. Such a nightmare. Just say yes
Yeah.
because you want the person to be happy, and then you suggest to a million people.
Exactly. And that's going back to that whole part about remembering you are priority number one. I actually often talk about the analogy of filling your cup.
Yeah.
So the analogy is you got to fill your cup in order to be of best service and to serve all of those people that you're wanting to say yes to. But you give from your saucer, not your cup, because an empty cup cannot keep pouring. So therefore, a lot of the work that I do around the mindfulness and the mindset and the letting go and the acceptance and tapping into your intuition, it's all about creating an ever flowing fill into your cup. And that's when you start to get into your, into your own flow. That's what intuition and following our inner compass allows us to do.
I love that.
And I think that part of it is that we collectively have bought into a lie in that we have to earn self-worth. The fact that we are here says you are worthy. Worthiness is not something you earn, it's something you are. And that right there, just feel that energy. There's no have to's, there's no I have to accomplish that or earn that or get that. You're worthy. Right here, right now. That's a mantra that I have people get into is on the in-breath in your head, say, I am enough. And on the out-breath, I am worthy. Or the other way around. You can breathe in, I am worthy, and breathe out, saying, I am enough. And keep doing it.
I love that. It feels so calming when you even talk about those
Yeah.
things. It feels it's very calming to it, definitely.
Yeah.
So, are there any patterns then that you have identified within a lot of people that come to you, or just observing and witnessing people generally struggling with trust, self-trust, and all of the and kind of intuition and listening to themselves and not having so much self-doubt?
Because we ask why. As soon as you said that. I actually really encourage people to release that why question. Because when we say why do I do this? Why did I do that? Why am I making this choice? We start spiraling downwards. Because right there, that's actually hard to maintain a sense of self-worth. Because there was a study done, and I can't remember, it's a psychology 101 type of talk that I listened to many years ago, that when you ask a person why, their immediate reaction is because I screwed up. I did something wrong. Yeah. And so if we say to ourselves, why did you make that choice? Our immediate reaction is because I did something wrong. And it's really hard. So then you keep coming back into the why, where if we flip that and started, because when we why, we're kind of engaging with the idea that things are happening to us rather than through us or for us. Life is happening through us and for us. So if we pause, and if you do have a propensity to say why is this happening? Why is this not happening? See, can you change it into a what? What is the gift here? What is the wisdom? What is my power in this? What is my choice? You see, asking the question what is, it signals to your subconscious mind, who is this problem solver, there's a solution already here. So now I'm going to stay really present and honor that the solution's here. I just have to stay present to it. Whereas see, why is going to create that rumination. Oh, maybe it's because of this. Oh, maybe because I messed that. Oh, I didn't have this qualification. Oh, because that person said this, or I listened to that. That is crazy making. And it's not going to create that sort of solid ground under your feet. So that's a really powerful pattern that I see so often. I live it too. But so that's the thing that I really encourage people is pause. If you find yourself in a why scenario, pause. Hands on your heart. Remember the hands on your heart always.
That'll be the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, and then what? What's the gift here? What's the learning? What's the wisdom? What's my part in this?
Yeah, they do feel different, don't they? Why and what?
Yes, don't they?
Why feels more like it's endless. It's like,
Yeah.
why? What
Yeah.
feels very specific. It feels more like what? Yes.
And there's a lift to it because it actually engages curiosity of, whoa, what magic am I going to discover here? Whereas why is already done. And
Yes.
like I said, it's going to be, it's because I suck. I just didn't do it right.
I love that. I love that. Wow. One of the things that's come across is you're a fountain of wonderful questions. And I think, in addition to putting your hand on your heart and kind of really dropping down into there and giving yourself that space and pausing, one of the things I'm taking away is actually asking really lovely questions, because actually those questions you're asking, it's like you do feel different depending on the question you ask. So definitely asking different questions is something I'll be taking away.
Asking different questions and the ones that I'm suggesting and that you're taking away, it's calming your nervous system. So you're coming into a space of, yes, there may be chaos and turmoil outside of me, but I've got this. I'm good. And there, that helps us. And that's what I said before about the cleaning the lens. What lens are you looking through?
So for everybody who's listened then and is thinking, yes, I definitely want to get more in touch with my intuition. I want to hear myself a little bit more. I want to be able to make decisions without second guessing everything or second guessing myself every turn. What are the would you say are your kind of 3 key takeaways then? What would you leave people with to say, look, if you only do 3 things, or what's the one thing, and then what's the 3 things? If I want to know 3.
So the first thing is to acknowledge and honor that you are intuitive. You're a spiritual being having this experience. And as such, you are intuitive. You have access to it. So that's the overarching piece. The other pieces are recognize that one of the things collectively that's causing so much disturbance and chaos is nervous system dysregulation. So that's why I do this one all the time. I do this all the time in my own life. Is once you recognize my nervous system's dysregulated, there's not not why. It just is, and I accept and come home to my breath. And that can just be using mantras. I am here, I am safe, I'm okay, I've got this. All is well. I actually say that one every morning. All is well in my world. And so it's to remember your own power by the words that you use to yourself and about yourself. That's one of my favorite ones too, is I've got this. I've got this actually helps you drop into that solution focus, that just because you don't know what are all the steps, it's okay, stay present, I've got this. And that allows you to stay open to, oh, there's another step, there's another opportunity. And it's okay to change your mind when we accept this is what it is. And because that's actually something that, and this is me telling you the truth about me, is if I've said I'm going to do this, and then I come to the day that I've said I'm going to do it and I'm exhausted and I'm depleted, the old version of me would have said, no, you got to push through. You said you were going to do it. But if you then, like I said, it is okay to accept, yes, I said I was going to do it, but I need to change it. Or I need to rejig my expectation on myself. So being loving and kind to yourself always is so important. That helps elevate the self-worth too.
This has been such an interesting conversation. there's so much that we can kind of take away and actually start putting into practice. It's been very practical. Thank you so much. It's been so fab to have you on, Moira. I really appreciate it.
It's been beautiful. Thank you so much, Antoinette.